Good day, can you all hear me? Good evening, students. If you can hear me, can I see a sign? Any reaction? Thank you. Welcome to our 6th online class. Today is a facet class, and today's class, as we have indicated, we'll be discussing the adjustment. And today's class will be presented by our fellow colleague, Mr. Alfred Baloyi, who will take you through to the remaining adjustments, examples, and also do a revision questions on adjustment in the preparation for our assessment too. So we will allow the questions after 30 minutes into the presentation. Please be patient. However, you are welcome to post your questions on the chat, as I will be looking after the chats to respond to some of your chats. But we will allow you and open the mics after 30 minutes of the presentation, and before the end of the class, we'll also allow you to ask any admin related or any other questions related to the module, which is not discussed today. Thank you, Mr. Alfred Baloyi. Are you ready? You can share your slides if you have slides, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yes, I'm ready. Good evening, everyone. I will be sharing, we will be doing the question through an Excel spreadsheet. And then this is coming from SU6 for adjustment. By introduction, my name is Alfred Baloyi. I'm a CSA. I'm currently working with the team on FAC1502 but I'm assisting the team here with adjustments. So for these questions, I hope everyone has the question. And then, like what Clara said, we will be going through the question. Hopefully you have your calculators with you, and then you have the question as well. Looking at this question, I think we will do the first 4 adjustments, and then I will take questions, and then I will do the next 4 adjustments, and then we'll take questions, and then we'll do the last 4 of them, and then I'll take questions. But if you have anything that you need clarity on, you can pose your question, and then you will be answered on the chat as well. So with the first one, we are presented with the trial balance for 31 December 20.80. And then you can see on top, there's all of your balance sheet items. And at the bottom, it's the income statement balances. So the first adjustment, it says 2.1 packaging material on hand at 31 December 0.1 to the value of 980. So basically,
Mr. Baloyi,
yes.
are you sharing slides or are you sharing something? Can't see.
I'm working from Excel.
Okay.
So this is the
I
question.
think the student said, can you enlarge the screen?
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let me try to do it this way. Let's see if I can open another sheet, and then I think I'll be going through different screens then. Will that be okay with the students? Okay, we have a trial balance here. I can increase it like this. It seems not to be well. Oh, let me just go to the original question. Okay. Study. So here's the original question on the PDF. So we can do it through Excel like this one, where it's a bit small, but you can see all the transactions. Okay, I think let me just copy this to Excel. So these are the first 4 adjustments, right? And then it's coming from we adjusting this trial balance. So will this be better? Can I get any indication that this is better or not? Okay, I can see Zantel brand says it's okay. So I'll be going from this trial balance and then moving to the Excel spreadsheet, right? So you'll just have to bear with me because it's very small when we're just working on Excel like this. But I had a pretty presentation that we can work on now. Okay, fine. I will copy this quickly. So this is the general ledger we will use for this. And then, so basically for 2.1, you have packaging material on hand at 31 December 20.1 to the value of 980. What you really need to understand there is what do you do with inventory, with consumables on hand, right? So basically, if you have packaging material or stationery that was remaining at the end of the period, you will expense the total amount. However, whatever is left must be moved to inventory. So what you will do, you will debit inventory and then you credit the packaging material. So this is straightforward. You will use the amount of 980. That's a debit to inventory, and then packaging material will be 980. So basically what you're doing is that for the total packaging material, for this is the total amount for packaging material. Out of the 4,700 that was purchased during the year, you were left with 980 of the packaging material. That 980 must be moved to inventory, meaning that it will be used in the next financial year. So basically your adjustment, you're adjusting the packaging material for the period. And then in 2.2, the long borrowing was entered on 1 October 20.1. According to the agreement, interest is payable biannually at the rate of 18% per annum. So what's really important to note is that the interest was for, okay, let me just highlight this. Well, you really need to highlight the date, which is 1 October. Compare it with the financial year end, which is 31 December 20.1. So what does that mean? It means that this interest will not accrue for the entire year, meaning that the 18% will be calculated only for October, November, up to December, right? So what are your journal entries? So we know that we know that interest expense will be payable, that will be your debit, and your credit will be accrued expenses. How do you calculate that amount? Long-term borrowing. You go here on your trial balance to determine your long-term borrowing. Your long-term borrowing, according to this, will be 25,000. So you take the 25,000 multiplied by 18%, which is this one. You multiply it by the number of periods, which is October, November, December. So it's 3 months divided by 12. So the amount that you need to adjust the interest expense will be 1125. This is the amount that goes to accrued expense as well. So we know the accrued expense, as per definition, is the expense that were incurred during the period. However, it will be paid in the coming period, right? And then when you go to, so the calculation, let me put the calculation here. So this is the calculation. Let me just highlight it in red. So this is the calculation. And then I think this should be clear. You had interest that was outstanding from 1 October, and then it was not yet paid at the end of the year, and then it will be included in accrued expenses, which is your balance sheet item. And then 2.3, and then it says advertisements include an amount of 400 paid for January 20.3. So again, you have to understand that your period ends on 31 December 20.1. So meaning that if an amount was paid for January 20.2, it's an expense that was paid for the coming period. And then we call that a prepaid expense. And then the prepaid expense, meaning that in the advertisement value, there's an additional amount of 400 that needs to be deducted. Advertisement. So basically, you will debit the 400, and then advertisement, you remove the 400, right? And then I think this should be straightforward because it's a, if you look here on the advertisement amount, where is it? On this total of 2,000, there was 400 that was included therein. That is for the coming year. So what we are doing here, we are removing that amount because this is a debit balance. We're removing it, we're crediting advertisement, and then putting the amount in prepaid expense, a balance sheet item. And then lastly, rental income 2.4. Rental income includes an amount in respect of January 20.2. So this one, you have to have some sort of understanding. But I believe in question, in exams or in tests or assessments, more information may be given, but you have to understand how this will be treated. So basically, what 2.4 is saying is that this amount of rental income, instead of the amount being for 12 months, the amount is for 13 months. And then, so if it's for 13 months, it means that we received income for an additional month. Remember, our financial statements are only for 12 months. So what you need to do is to reduce the amount of rental income by debiting, because it's a credit amount, it needs to be debited, and then the credit will go to income received in advance. So basically, your debit amount will be at how much is it? It's 15,600. 15,600 divided by 13, which is 1,200. So this is the amount that must be removed from rental income. So this is the calculation. This is the calculation. This is the calculation. So basically, what happens here is that for the period ending 31 December 20.1, we had rental income, the 15,600. This income was for 13 months instead of 12 months. So that's why we divide the 15 by 13 to determine what is the additional rent for January. So it's 1,200. If the amount was for example, January and February, this could have been multiplied by 2. For example, it could have been 2,400, but this is just for 1 month. So it will be 1,200. I think this should be straightforward. Any questions? Why is it said that rental income? I see B. Potter is asking a question. Why is it said that the rental income is for 13 months? So basically, this question, it didn't state it explicitly, but the question would guide you if the rent was for less than a month, like less than 12 months. So when you see all these amounts here, for example, the 15,600, all these amounts are for 12 months. And like, for example, you see advertisements include an amount of 400 for January, meaning that it's already 12 months. And then here for long-term borrowing, it is stated that it's from October. So all the amounts are for 12 months, except when they tell you that it's not for 12 months. So if rental income includes an amount of January for 20.2, then it will be 13 months. I hope it makes sense.
Okay, Mr. Baloy, we have one hand. As you said, you were taking questions. So, Jan Mukwanyana, you can unmute.
Sir, can you please repeat the question where they're talking about 18% interest rate? I was lost there.
Okay. The long-term borrowing was entered into 1 October. According to the agreement, interest is payable biannually at the rate of 18% per annum. So basically what that means is that the entity got a loan on 1 October. So the loan at the end of the year, the interest, you see at 31 December, there was no interest paid yet. If you look here, there was no interest paid for the loan of all these expenses. There's no interest, right? So interest is payable at 18% per annum. So meaning that for this loan of 25,000, right, you have to pay interest at 18% per annum. So it's payable biannually, but that will not be the case in our instance, because it's only outstanding from October up until December, which is 3 months. So we're calculating interest outstanding at the end of the year, which is 31 December 2021. And then the interest is calculated by taking the total amount of the loan which is 25,000, multiplied by the 18, which is given here, multiplied by 3 months, 3 over 12, which is October, November, December. That's the 3 months that are outstanding. So then, because interest is outstanding, that's an expense that's not paid for the period. It will go to accrued expenses. So you create an additional expense which goes to accrued expenses. I hope that makes sense.
So meaning it will be paid in the next financial year.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Any other question? I see there's a question, but I can't see who it is. Julieta Motola. What's your question?
Okay, good evening, sir. Thank you for the presentation. It's very informative. I would like to ask a question. In an event, if you're maybe like I'm going to receive such a question in the assessment, when
Yes.
I'm supposed to write the calculations, am I supposed to write only the calculation based on what you just typed in? Or are we supposed to maybe follow what will be guided regarding the number of the calculation that we need to put in the column? Thank you.
The marking depends on the type of assessments. But however, you could be assessed on many things. You could be assessed on determining whether how to debit and credit, where to credit and where to debit, and then you'll be assessed on the amount as well. Putting the correct amount in the correct, whether it's debit or credit, and then you'll be assessed as well on the calculation. So there are many aspects. There could be half mark just for the correct debit or credit, and then there could be other marks for calculations as well. So it will depend on the assessment. But however, it's very important to understand what you are doing to get the full mark. Debit it correctly, credit it correctly, and calculate the correct amount. Include the calculation as well. You must reference it correctly. Any other questions? No other questions. Oh, I see this one question from Yanga Shangazu. You may go ahead.
Yes, sir. Can you please repeat for me the calculations of rental income?
Rental income.
On 2.4, yes.
Okay. So for rental income, what do we know about rental income? We are given the amount that was received for the period. So this is an income of 15,600, right?
Yes.
That's the only thing we know. And then we are told that rental income includes an amount in respect of January 20.2, right? So
Yes.
what does that mean? It means because we're reporting at 31 December 20.2, we have included an amount for the following year for the month of January, which is only 1 month for the following year. So meaning that in addition to the 12 months for the period, there's an additional month included in here. So in order to determine what is the monthly rental amount for January, you take
Yes.
the total amount, divide by 13, because it's 13 months, it's the 12 months for 20.1 and the additional month for 20.2, which is 13 months. And then you can say multi, but it doesn't make sense mathematically. Multiply by 1 for the 1 month of January. what we're trying to do is basically what we're trying to do is we want to make sure that the rental income for 31 December 20.1, it's correct, and it's only for 12 months because our reporting period is for 12 months. However, this includes an amount for January 20.2. So what we're trying to remove that, and then we divide it by 13 to determine the monthly rental income. So what we're doing here, the reason why we're crediting a rental income, you see, because it's a credit rental income, here we're debiting it because we're trying to remove the extra month that is included in here.
Yes.
And then, so you see, it will say income received in advance, meaning we received income in advance. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, sir. I understand.
All right.
Thank
Okay, I think I see.
So we have another hand to say.
Is it okay? Go ahead.
Say.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes,
Go
we
ahead.
can hear you.
Yes, it's not necessarily a question. I was asking Sir to at least up his voice a little bit because he sounds so low. Thank you.
Oh, is it? Okay, I will do that. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next journal. Okay, so I think I'll have to copy. Okay, the next list of journals. Okay, let me copy this. Okay.
Mr. Alfred,
Yes.
there are two questions from Buse or Mponking.
Okay. You can go ahead with the questions. Pangikos.
Good evening.
Evening.
Yes, my question is just here on the adjustments entries. Will it always be the case that we have to debit first when we are dealing with the sentence before we can credit?
You can mute your mic. It depends on the circumstances. You will always have a minimum of 2 accounts as per accounting equation. So you will always have to debit and credit something, right? But as what you debit or credit, it depends on the situation. For example, here we have rental income, right? Rental income, it's a credit amount. It's on credit. So if you want to adjust it, to reduce it, if you want to reduce the rental income, you have to debit it on the debit side. But if you want to increase it, for example, if the rental was received for 11 months, you had to account for an additional month. You would credit rental. So it depends on the situation, but at the minimum, you'll have 2 accounts to debit and credit. I hope that's clear.
Yes.
So
Yes, we have last question. Then I think you can continue. We have Ntombi.
okay, Ntombi. You can
Before
go ahead,
I
Ntombi.
close all the mics.
Yes, good evening.
Hi.
So can you please just, I want to see there on the rental. There is a question I want to ask there.
Yes.
So here, 15,600. So why we divide with 13 instead of 12 months?
Okay, so like I said initially, right? So
Yeah.
That's 15,600, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's supposed to be 12 months. It's supposed to be. It should be, right? We want it to be 12 months. However, on the notes here, they're telling us that rental income includes an amount in respect of January 20.2, meaning that the 15,000, meaning that the 15,600 has an amount for January 20.2, meaning it's no longer 12 months, it's 13 months.
Okay, okay.
So that's why we divide it by 13.
Okay, thank you. Let me close my mic. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, welcome. Okay, so the next section, I think, for example, if you not getting the issues in the first 4 adjustments, you will get them as we go. But you may as well post your questions on the chat as well. We will answer that. But for the sake of time, let's continue. And then it says interest on fixed deposit has not yet been received for the last 2 months of the financial year. Interest is calculated at the rate of 12%. So again, our issue here is to make sure that our interest is for 12 months, but they are telling us that the interest for the last 2 months of the financial year have not been received, right? And then what is our rate? Our rate is 12%. And then they told us that on what? On the fixed deposit. So when you go to the trial balance, you are looking for the fixed deposit and then the 12 months that is outstanding, right? So you go here on your trial balance, you're looking for it should be a debit amount because it's amount that we saved. It should be an asset. So it's this 50,000, and then interest on investment this 5,000, but it won't matter for now. This 5,000 it's for 10 months, the 2 months outstanding. So okay, but don't focus much on this. Let's focus on the 50,000. So you will say interest on fixed deposit has not, because it should be received, it should be credit income, interest on, let's say interest income, fixed deposit, right? And then what are we debiting? We're debiting accrued income. So basically, you know that like when something is accrued, it's something that should happen in the current year, but it didn't happen. So that's why we say accrued expenses. But this one, we say accrued income, right? So as you can see, accrued income, it's a balance sheet item, and it's a debit, meaning that it's a temporary asset as well. So how do you calculate that? It will be 50,000 coming from the trial balance multiplied by the 12%, 12% multiplied by how many months? The last 2 months. So it wasn't paid for the last 2 months. Divide by 12. So the 1,000 will be your adjustment for interest. So here's your calculation. So here's your calculation. So what happens here is that you have a fixed deposit account, and then you haven't been paid for the last 2 months. So you calculated the interest on the balance, and then for the period you multiply by 2, divide by 12. Because it's not received, the amount will be included in the accrued income, which will be a short-term asset. And then for 2.6, insurance include an amount of 750 paid for the period 1 November 20.1 to 31 December 20.2. So again, we are paying in advance. So our period should be for 1 November up until 31 December 20.1, meaning that we have paid extra for the following year. If we paid more, it's a prepaid expense, right? And then this amount must be removed from the insurance account, right? So basically what they're saying is that the amount of 750, right, was paid for the period outside our financial reporting period. So it's how much is the insurance for the month? It will be 62.5. However, the 62.5, which is relating for the year, it would be only for November and December. However, the 10 remaining months are for the following financial year, right? And then it must be removed from insurance amount. So basically what happened is that if you look here at the insurance amount of this 2,250, there's an amount of 625 that was paid for the 20.2 financial year. So that's the difference between prepaid expense and accrued expense. Prepaid expense will be an asset. It will be debited because it's an amount that will be incurred in the following year. And then 2.7, the telephone account of 165 for December has not been paid, right? So again, telephone is an expense account which must be accounted for every year. So for 1 month, it's not accounted for, and it will be included in accrued expenses. Accrued expenses, it's a credit amount. You will see it's similar to a short-term liability. It's an amount that we still have to pay, and then it's that we've incurred the telephone expense for that period. So it will be credited as a short-term liability. And then for this 3 adjustments, do we have any questions? Okay.
Yes, there's questions. I'm just
okay,
going to. I'm disabling the mics because we had to disable because they keep on interrupting the class.
Okay. So we can start. Mukaba.
Yes, you can start, Mukaba. You
Hi,
can
hi, sir.
unmute.
Yes.
Okay, so can I ask, based on the I 2.6 of insurance, I didn't get you there.
Okay. The insurance. So basically, what happens is that the insurance, it's for. You see, we have to account for the 20.1 financial year, right? So what happened is that the insurance, the 750 includes an amount up to 31 October 20.2. So what I can do here, November, let me just show you quickly. If we do this, so this is 20.1, 20.1, right? But however, this is 20.2, right? So our insurance, the 750, which is 7, let me just show you quickly, 750 divided by 12, the 62.5, 62.5. So the 62 point, you see the total of this amount, right?
Yes.
It's not showing, the total of this amount, it's 750, right? August up to, wait, up to October, September, October. So this amount, let me just highlight it in a different color. And then if we sum this, it's not giving me a sum. So the total of this is 750, right? However, of the 750, whatever is relating to the current year, it's the November and the December. So this amount here, 62.5 for this number of months, for January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, right? It's the 10 months. So we say 62.5 times 10, that's 625, right? It has to be removed because it's for the coming year. It's not for the current year. It's only this one and this one that relates to the current year, right? So it has to be removed from insurance. That's why we say insurance credit 625, and then we put it in the prepaid expense, the 625. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Thank you.
So we have Mr. Ian Baker. Ian Baker.
You're welcome.
Good evening, lectures.
Any
How are you? Okay, I'm basically being answered because I was being lost also on the insurance part, especially those 60.4, those
good answer.
62.5. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
we can
Mr.
hear you,
Baker.
Mr.
Yeah.
Baker.
Okay, yes. I said I've been answered
Yeah.
because I was lost.
Yes, yes, yes,
lost.
okay.
Yes, I was lost with this 62.5 course. And hence we see this the current financial year is 20.1 and
Okay.
the incoming financial year is 20.2. So that's when I was lost. The calculations between these 12 months, why we're supposed to calculate with the 12 months. So now I get the point why we're supposed to calculate with the 12 months. Thank you for this answer.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. And Mr. Mukonyane?
All right, no, you're welcome.
Mr. Mukonyane, are you still here? While he's still trying to figure out, Pusa, you can raise a question?
Sorry, that was an old hand. So
All right. Oh, can I take it? Okay, so I'd like it's not a question but a statement
Yes.
of which I'd appreciate it if you can confirm what I'm going to say about the insurance statement. So basically, if you're given a question like this one, you first have to calculate the amount accounted for the current financial year and take the amount that you calculated and times it with the months of the next coming financial year that you are given, like the 10 months that you are given. So, sir, do you hear me?
Yes, because that is outside, yes, voting period.
Oh, so you
Yes,
first
you do that.
you first account for the 2 months that it's left, like from November and December, and then you take the amount that you have
Yes.
calculated and you times it with the amount, the months that you are
The
given.
number.
Yes, the number of
Yes.
the months that you are given.
Yes.
All right.
And just be careful, right? Because it says the amount includes. So basically it means it's included in the expense amount. The amount is included in here. It's included in the insurance. What's the insurance? The amount is in some instances you may have to deduct, or in this instance you have to deduct, but in some instances you may have to add the amount. So it will depend. But in this instance, you determine what is outside your, you subtract it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay, Melody, you can come in. Albert, Mr. Jacobs.
Yes.
Alberto.
Can you
Yes,
hear me?
Jacobs.
Yes.
Yes.
Alberto. Yes, we can hear you.
I struggle to join, so I must 2.5. So would it be possible if it can be explained again, if possible?
2.5. It's happens is that the fixed deposit for the last 2 months, the interest for the last 2 months. Maybe what you can do, you can mute your mic and then I will continue with it quickly. And then what happened is that the fixed deposit, we have fixed deposit, right? And then the interest for the last 2 months was not received. So here's your fixed deposit amount of 50,000, and then we didn't receive in for the last 2 months. So what we do is that because it's a credit amount, we start it, and then it will go to the accrued income because it's the amount that was supposed to be received. Then you take the fee.
Mr. Alfred, can you share the screen?
Yes. Yes.
Share the screen.
I'm sharing. Hello, does anyone have an issue with the screen?
Yes, we cannot see. It's not visible. Maybe you want to minimize and reshare again.
Okay, let me stop sharing. And okay, I'm sharing again. Can you see it now?
It's still blank on my side.
I don't know
it's
what
still
happened.
coming. Yes. Blank.
Is it blank? I have no idea. I don't know what could be the
Yes,
cause.
I can see it now.
Perfect.
Okay, you can see it. I don't know what's the cause. I've never experienced this. Okay, let's continue. Like I was saying, the 50,000 is the fixed deposit, and then you multiply it by the 12% per annum, and then they're saying it was for 2 months, so you multiply that by 2 divided by 12, then it will give you the interest of 1,000 that is accruing, that is not received. So I think that should be straightforward. Next question. Clara, do you have more questions?
Yes,
I think
Mr.
TK.
Yeah, Mr. Jacobs, are you covered? Before I get to TK.
Okay, I'm a little bit confused, but let me just re-say. Okay, so the 50,000, which was the fixed deposit, right, on the statement.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you multiply it by 12, and then you divide it by 12 and multiply it by 2. Is that what Sir was saying? I'm a bit confused.
Yes. Let's say you multiply it by 12%, which is the interest rate. All right.
Okay.
And then you want to allocate it for 2 months outstanding. So you multiply it by 2, divide by 12. So multiplying by 2, divide by 12, you're allocating it for 2 months. Remember, if it was the whole year, you would say 50,000 multiplied by 12. That would give you the interest for the whole year. But the interest is
Okay.
only for 2 months. So how do you apportion for 2 months? You divide by 12 to apportion for each month, multiply by 2 for the 2 months.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You covered. But you will see
Okay.
when you practice, you will see it. It's straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
TK, you can come in.
Oh,
Okay. Manasseh.
Hello.
Oh, TK is there. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to ask about 2.6. So what I had done, I included the 750 in the pre-adjustment trial balance figure of 2250. So but I can see here it's saying that this 750 is for this period of November to October of the next financial year. So
Yeah.
can we say that the 2250 is insurance for something else? Like maybe there's insurance for vehicles, equipment, and other things. So this 750 is for something else.
Yes, this 750 they could have signed a contract on 1 November for something else. Right? So that's why it's out of sync with the financial year. So they could have just signed it on 1 November 20.1. So remember, some contracts are just for 12 months. You can't just say you want a 3-month contract. So that's why it's not in sync with the financial year.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Manasseh, can go on. Okay. Okay, the next one is Kanisho. Kanisho.
So much, thank you so much. Good evening. It's because my network is not doing well. I just want to know, how did we get 62.5, something like that, on 2.6?
62.5. Oh, it's the 750, right? So the 750, they said it's for a period of 12 months. So if you take 750 divide by 12, it will give you the 62.5. So each month you have an insurance of 62.5 for each month up until end of October. So that's where the 62.5 is coming from. So basically anything that is outside of the financial year 20.1 and 20.2, this 62.5, there are 10 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you multiply it by 10, it gives you the 625. That's what we're taking out of the insurance.
Okay, thank you, sir. Answered.
All right.
Okay, Jacobet, you can come in.
Thank you.
Promoter.
Can you hear me?
Oh, Jacobet is here. We can hear you, Jacobet. You can go on.
Okay, I just wanted to ask on 2.6, are we saying it's a prepaid expense because it's for the next financial year? And if it was for the current year, what were we gonna say? Were we gonna still say it's a prepaid expense? I'm not sure if I'm making sense.
No, it makes sense. If if it was for the current year, it's within the current year. There's no issues. So if you pay something for the following year, that's when we call it a prepaid expense. So because it doesn't relate, the expense is not incurred in the current year. So we have to match it with the period that we incur the expense. So that's why we're saying it's prepaid. It will be incurred in the, it will be used in the next financial year.
So say if it was incurred, like if we were doing for, let's say we were doing November and December, we were gonna say it's a, we were just
No.
like what are we gonna call it?
No, it's normal. It's normal insurance. There's no issues. For example, if it was just these two, it would be like insurance, and then it would be, for example, bank. If it was paid from the bank, it would be like
okay.
it would be 62.5 times 2. It will be just 125 like this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Can we get
sir?
Komodo? Msweli? Komodo, yes, you can speak.
Thank you, ma'am. I understand everything, but there's one thing that is missing to me. It's 2.6 based with the month. You said when you calculate that, in order to get that 625, you have to multiply by 10 months. So how do you calculate? Because I'm missing, according to me, I get 11 months since it's 1st of November until 31 October, of which is the following year. So how do you calculate to get that? How do you count those months to get 10? Because according to me, I get 11.
It's here. It says one. This is 1 November, right? Up until 31 October here. So it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 10, and this is 2 months. Maybe just do a number line. You will get it. So, like
So
make.
When you count, you start from December, right?
No, it starts from 1 of. This is 1 November.
1 November.
Yeah.
Until 31 of October, of which is the following year.
Yeah. So if you look at this month, it's actually 10 months, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 10 months because the total of them should be 12 months.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Komodo. Can we go with Msweli?
Evening. I just wanted to ask about the 2.2, the is it biannually? Does that affect does that have an impact on our borrowings?
No, it doesn't have, especially for this question, because if you look biannually, it's 6 months, and then we are reporting on 31 December, October, November, December. It's within 3 months, so it doesn't have an impact on this calculation.
Okay. And when will it have an impact? Only if there's like 6 months remaining of the financial period, or when does it have an impact?
Yeah, basically what it means is that the bank will be affected within each and every 6 months. So it must be paid. So there should be payment after 6 months. That's what it means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we go with Msweli?
No, you already answered me. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll
Linda?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, I just want to know as well, okay, about the financial year. Like, how do we start counting? Because it's confusing me. I think my problem is there on the financial year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just make an example
so-
about the insurance is fine.
I'm not sure what you mean. What
Like,
so basically,
I see they say the two amounts like 1st November and 1st December. Like December is like it's not the current year. Then January up to so I get confused because actually I'm not sure.
oh,
Yes.
so basically, if you look here, our financial year and it's 31 December. All right. So our financial year, it's 12 months period.
Yes.
So our financial year will end here on 31 December 20.1. You see from here, it's the new year. So this is the one we are working with, right? So we didn't include because the question says from, we're just including here because this is only relating to 2.6.
Okay.
And then so our financial year ends here on 31 December 20.1. But it's coming from here, this 31 December 20.1. So they're saying our insurance is from 1 November 20.1. So it's from here. This is only relating to insurance. It's not the whole
Okay,
financial
the whole
period.
transaction. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, it only relates to that. But I think just do more questions. It will make sense. There's a just maybe if you can, what I can do, I will share this with everyone. But if you practice, you will get it. But this one relates to 2.6 only.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you. Can we take Patricia?
Good evening.
Okay.
I can understand everything, right? How the financial years and the calculations are working. But then now, to me, it's like the way I think it's just about the format that about the calculations. Now, I don't know if you use a different format when maybe a question is asking you to show calculations. Maybe such a question. If you lose marks, probably when if you use a different format. I'll give an example for 2.5, right? We say 50,000 times 12% times 2 divided by 12, right? I don't know. I find it if I'm to say 50,000, right? We say 12% times 50,000, then we get 6,000. It's for the full financial year. Then we just divide by 12 and we get 500. So we're actually trying to look for the amount for 2 months, then it's 1,000 rand. Now, I don't know if I use a different format to do that. I know it will equate to the same amount, but I don't know if you use a different way of calculation, if it will make you lose marks, or as long as the answer is correct, then it's okay.
No, as long as you can show how you got to your amount, it's fine. This is like, I think this is the most standard one, which is understood by a lot of people. But what you're saying, you can say 50,000 multiply by 12%, giving you 6,000. You divide by 12, it gives you 500. Multiply by 2. It's the same thing. As long as you can show how you got to the 1,000.
All right.
There's no specific standard on calculation.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. Manasseh.
Sorry, sir.
Manasseh, is it a new hand or is it?
No, I'm coming back because I could not find my mic by then. Thank you so much for recognizing me. I'm a bit confused with regards to the effect of this account, accrued expense or income, prepaid expense and income, the effect of them on the T account, because I understand that to understand for correct push into the general journal, you should be able to know which account is to be debited, which account to be credited. So perhaps maybe if you have chance during this session, then you can briefly go back and then so that we can see the effect of them on the accounting equation. Maybe I will be able to understand so that I can be able to post them, to easily identify which account to be debited, because if I have to answer on an assessment, I do the opposite. It means that it's zero. If I understand it. Thank you so much.
Okay. What I try to do on these questions, for example, like when I was giving an example of telephone, when we say telephone is debited on the T account, it will go on the debit side as well. And then, but what we mean by debited, meaning that there's an additional expense of 165. But as we go through this adjustments, I will explain them in detail.
Okay, then we can go with Asipe, Baker, TK, and Retabile. Then we can continue. Asipe?
Good evening, everyone. I have a problem here. I cannot see anything. I just noticed that it's an Excel document, but I only see yellow and red. I cannot read anything. So can you kindly zoom the screen for me, please?
Is it only you or like Clara, are you experiencing the same issue?
No, I'm even using my phone. So what you can do on your phone or your laptop, just try to enlarge it from your side, because on my side, I'm using both the laptop and the phone. I'm able to increase to display it, to enlarge my screen. I think maybe you need to try that. Enlarge it from your side. I think most students can see.
And we have a recording as well.
Yes. And Mr.
I can't see anything. I hear the dispute and everything, but I cannot participate because I'm only listening. I can't see.
Okay, so I think it might be the network issue, because on my laptop I also have that. Can you leave the meeting and come back? Just click leave and rejoin. I think it might be the network issue. Hence, I'm also trying to use both devices because the network is also unstable, and come back again. And Mr. Baker, is it that in your hand?
Yes.
Okay, you can just quickly ask.
Can you please, let's just go back there at sheet 1 where there's a advertisement of 400, and please just explain a little bit, because I see there's a 2,250, I think, in trial balance where it was paid on 31st of December. Yes, that was paid on 31st of December, and then there's a 400. So when you are busy calculating on all those calculations, there were where we have to calculate the months and all the stuff. So I need to know about difference between this 400 and the 2,000 back there. So this 2,000 is covered the whole for financial year of the 20.1, and this 400 is it paid for starting the new financial year? Am I correct, or I'm lost somewhere there?
So it says advertisement includes an amount of 400 paid for January 20.4, right? So what they are saying is that when you look at this 2,000, there's already a 400 included in here for 20.2.
Okay.
Right? So meaning that amount must be deducted. So that's why we credit advertisement. You see, advertisement, it's a debit amount.
Yes.
Right? Because it's an expense. So now we are crediting it because we want to remove the January 20.2 400. So that's why we crediting, and then we're saying it's a prepaid expense because it paid for the following financial year.
Okay. So and another question that basically the financial years, it goes according to the question they ask you, or in accounting, in
yes.
accounting. there's a specific time for the financial years. Because last time we were attending the class on the 21st of March, they were saying that the financial year ended on March, sometimes ended on February, April. So I need to know it goes according to the question that they ask you, or there's a accounting principle where it says the financial year starts in this month and ends in this month.
No, it will be
Alfred, can I
given
help
in the
you?
question. Okay, Clara, I can come in.
Yeah, so what is basically happening is that each company can select their own financial year. So there is no standard financial year end. So some companies will have Jan, others Feb, June, October, depending on their accounting policy. So you will really need to be careful when you read the questions, highlight the company's year end so that you cannot miss their accounting period.
All right,
Are
thank
you
you.
fine, Mr. Baker?
Yes, thank you,
Yes,
because
so
I
you
was
need to
I
look
was
at that.
lost.
Yes, please do that. And also for those who are struggling with the dates between what is within the financial year and not, try to also use a number line like we used to do in high school, where you will have your number line with the first month, second, and also your big line for your year end, so that you can see which months were prepaid in that financial year, so that you can be able to see that. Let's make it simple for yourself. Don't overcomplicate. Go back to the basics of what we did in high school when we were trying to calculate the number of months when you're doing your number line. That way it will assist you not to get lost and to get your accurate answers. So we're gonna take Chokwe. After Chokwe, can I close? Then can we come back and he continue? We'll come back to the questions again because we are the time is not on our side. So Chokwe, you can raise a question, then we can close the mics for now. Then those who are still raised their hands, can you post it on the chat and we'll try to respond on the chat. Thank you. Chokwe? Okay, since Chokwe is unable, I will mute
Okay,
and
I was trying
all
to.
the mics.
I was trying to.
Then can you continue? Okay,
Hello,
you
can you
can
hear
just
me?
ask quickly your question.
Okay, I was looking at the example here. Actually, I'm new on accounting. I understand the way. I don't know. I'm claiming or whatever. I understand the formulas and everything, and I could figure out most of us we struggle with what is financial year, but it was explained. So, but now the problem that I get, I think I don't know if it can be explained now. Maybe during at the end of the at the end of the session, just to clarify me there and there. I understand very well the basic account equation. I understand that assets increases on the what you call on the debit side, decreases on the what you call on the credit side, as well as expense, and the other side income decrease on the debit, what we call decrease on the debit side and decrease on the credit side. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I missed many classes I joined on the 21st. I understand. I fail to understand the T account. I can understand when you minus or credit. Every time when you debit, I get confused. Please, if you can, throughout the course at the end, just cover a T account a little bit so that I understand when to debit the account, how, without claiming.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
no, I
do
will.
that.
We'll do that.
We will
Okay,
do
so
that after the class. Can Mr. Alfred continue? F. Choko, we will come back to you. Thank you for raising that, and we'll make sure that we try to help you so that you don't fall behind. So, Mr. Alfred, you can continue.
okay. So we'll go to 2.8. 2.8, it's an equipment of 2000 was purchased on 1 July 20.1. So in this adjustment, what they're trying to tell us, it's going to be very important for 2.9. There's no adjustment here. If you look at your trial balance, they are telling us that in this 9,000, there's a 2,000 amount, right? So, and then the amount remember what I was telling you about the 12-month financial year. They are saying that there's equipment of 2,000 that was purchased in the middle of the year. So what is the implication of this? This may have an implication on calculating your depreciation. All right. So you see that your depreciation is like if you go to 2.9, your depreciation is calculated at 20% of vehicles on the diminishing balance method. And then equipment is at 10% per annum on the diminishing balance method. So you see here, we're going to have an issue with this 2,000 because if some if there was equipment for 2,000 pitches during the year, meaning there was equipment for 7,000 that existed at the beginning of the year, right? So 2.8, there will be no implications, no adjustment. And then 2.9, we need to, because depreciation, we need to calculate depreciation as follows. If you can see here that the accumulated depreciation, it's on the 1st of January 20.1, meaning that depreciation for the year has not been calculated. If you look here, there is no depreciation account. So meaning that you have to calculate the depreciation. It says depreciation must be provided as follows. So we are clear that there is no depreciation here calculated. And then if you look at the accumulated balance, it's up until it's from the beginning of the year, but it must be up until 31 December 20.8. So we know that depreciation is an expense, and then it will increase on the debit side. So it will debit the expense, and then we have accumulated depreciation for vehicles, right? And then we have accumulated depreciation for equipment, right? So again, this one is an expense. It increases on the debit side. These ones are balance sheet accounts. They relate to assets. So when you're depreciating your what, you're reducing the value of the asset. So that's why you credit both the accumulated depreciation, right? So now they are telling us that the depreciation for vehicles is at 20% per annum on diminishing balance method. So how do you calculate that? For diminishing balance method, unlike on the cost method, which is straightforward, you multiply the cost by the depreciation value. In the diminishing balance method, you have to take the cost of the vehicle, which is 40,000. You minus the 11,200 accumulated depreciation, 11,200, which gives you the carrying value. You multiply the carrying value by the rate given, which is 20%. So this is the depreciation for the year for vehicles. And then similarly, for equipment, we know that we have equipment for 9,000, which is 9,000 minus accumulated depreciation 1710 multiply. No, wait. Remember what I told you about 2.8, that you from the 9,000 you have to subtract 2,000, which is the equipment that was purchased for the year, during the year, and then you multiply this by 10%, and you add the 2,000 multiplied by 10% for how many months? For 6 over 12 months. And that is your depreciation, accumulated depreciation for equipment. And the total of this will give you, okay, this equals to this plus this. So the sum of this will give you the depreciation for the period, which is 6389. And then if you go to 2.10, okay, let me just put the calculations here so that everyone can view them. Okay, the 40,000 is the cost. So this is the calculation for vehicles, and this is the calculation for equipment. Let's put it in a different file so that you can see. And then this as well. I hope this makes sense. And then if you move to 2.10, the account of a debtor who owes the entity 200 must be written off as irrecoverable. So what it means is that this loose ends limited purchased from us on credit, and now they are not able to pay. So we will have credit losses of 200, and then that will be an expense, and expenses are increasing on the debit side. And then because this is included in debtors are decreasing because now the amount will not be received. It will go on the credit side. I think that should be straightforward. And then lastly, on 2.11, the allowance for credit losses amount to 250, should amount to 250. So what happens here is that you have to look at your trial balance to see that how much was the allowance for credit losses. So allowance for credit losses at 31 December 2021 was 300,000, right? So now they're telling us this, it must be 250, meaning that it must be reduced by 50 rand. So because this is it's a credit balance, right? So it will be reduced on the credit side, allowances for credit losses 50, and then it will go to credit losses. It will be on the credit side as well. So this will be 300 minus 250. I think this needs some more explanation. So basically what happens is that if you have debtors, right? For example, you sell goods on credit. For example, let's say you sell goods for sales for like 2,000, right? And then this would be on, let's say, credit sales or debtors, right? So 2,000. So a provision for credit losses is that you are saying of this 2,000, it can be given as a percentage, right? You may say that for this data, you believe that 10% of them are not going to pay. So if you say 10% are not going to pay, you will have an expense for credit losses, and then you will call it, it will be 200. And then we have a provision for let's say allowance for credit losses, 200. This would be the 2000 multiplied by the 10%. So basically, this is what the allowance for credit losses is. So you are saying of the 2000 people that you've borrowed money, like that bought on credit, you believe that 10% of them will not pay. So you create such an allowance in the current financial year. For example, if this was 20.0, so now in 20.1, if you believe that this amount must be increased or decreased, this is what happened here with this account. We already had an allowance of credit losses of 300. So now at the end, we're saying no, maybe it's no longer 10%. It's like, for example, it's 15%. So when we change that, we will have this adjustment. I hope that makes sense, but if you have any questions, we may start asking.
Okay, let me open the mics. While I'm opening the mics, can you explain the difference between allowance for credit losses and credit losses?
Okay, the allowance for credit losses, first and foremost, the allowance for credit losses, it's a balance sheet amount, right? And then the credit losses or bad debt, it's an expense. Bad debt, it's an expense amount. It goes to the income statement. The other one goes to the balance sheet, right? So the purpose of this, it's similar to what we're doing with accrued income or accrued expenses. If we believe that this total amount will not be received, we'd rather have an expense in the current year and have an allowance in future, right? So that's why this amount will go, the allowance for credit losses will be a balance sheet amount, and then it will go to the future periods. So that is the difference. The other one, it's an expense amount, and then the other one, it's a balance sheet amount.
Okay, let me start taking hands. M. Mokaba, you can unmute.
Okay, so can I ask based on adjustment 2.9 where you calculated depreciation for equipment? I did not quite get that, where you like subtract the 2000 then add it back times the whatever that you did there. I did not understand.
Okay, for equipment, I think let's do it with a separate calculation, right? So if you look at the equipment, the total amount, right? It's given as 9,000, all right? But
yes,
that's equipment for 12 months, right? And there's equipment for 6 months, all right? So equipment for 12 months, they told us that they purchased equipment equipment for 2000 was purchased on 1 July, right? So this is the 2000, but what do we know? Equipment was purchased on 1 July, right? But they don't tell us anything else. So if they say that, we know that this, because this is the balances at 31 December 20.1, we know that the 9,000 will include the 2,000 because it was purchased during the year. So meaning that the 9,000 is made of the 7,000 and the 2,000. All right. So when you calculate depreciation, all right. So this is the cost. This is the cost. The Q. So now because you're using diminishing balance method, you have to subtract this one, the 171, right? The 1710, right? So that's why when you calculate this, you will take this, you will subtract this, and then you calculate the 10% of this one. And then this one you will calculate separately. It will be this 2,000 multiplied by the 10%. However, this is for 6 over 12 months, right? And then the total of these two, it's this one. So that's how you got the 629. It's because the one amount it's for 12 months, and then the other balances it's for 6 months. I'm not sure. Are you still with me?
Yes, I'm still with you.
Does it make sense?
Yes, now it makes sense.
So that's why we subtracting the 2,000 and then we adding it back. But you can do it separately like this. It like whatever makes sense to you.
Now the second option makes sense.
Okay.
Thank
No, I'm
you.
glad it does.
Thank you. And Lovo, you can go ahead with your question.
Okay. Good evening.
You are breaking a bit.
Well, it has been answered right now because the method that was used was a bit confusing for me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. So you prefer the second method? Hello?
Okay, perfect. So as I was saying, yes. Yes, because how I'd like it to be broken down is calculated. That's
I think
what I wanted to say initially.
Mr. Ndlovu, we're struggling to hear you. Can you post on the chat? I think your network is breaking.
Yes, I think so too.
So we can assist you. Thank you. Retabile?
Yes.
Sir, just for clarification, I wanted to ask that the 7,000 was calculated based on the annual depreciation, and the 2,000 was calculated based on the 6 months.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, the tricky part of the question is that like you have to identify that the 2,000 here, right? You have to know, but like I think the question will guide you, and then say the 2,000 is included or excluded. But if just say in equipment of 2,000 was purchased on 1 July, and then you are looking at the trial balance after, that is after 1 July, meaning that this amount will already include this 2,000. So that's why you have to subtract. But the question will guide you.
Okay, sir, noted.
Right.
Thank you. And Mr. Ian Baker, you can come in.
I need to know this depreciation of 6389. How did we get it? And also those calculations.
Which question?
The 6389 depreciation. How do we get it?
638. So it's the sum. It's the sum of this one and this one. So if you add the 5760 and the 629, it will give you the 6389. Remember the depreciation amount is for all the assets of the entity.
Okay. Okay.
It's a combined balance, but the accumulated
All right.
depreciation will be for separate assets.
Okay. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a question with 2.9, right? So in the event that a percentage is not given, but you have to calculate the depreciation, let's say for the vehicle. So all we are given is the amount, the cost amount, and the accumulated depreciation amount. So does it mean we only subtract the cost amount to by the accumulated depreciation amount, and we don't have to be worried about the percentage?
No, the percentage will, when you're using the diminishing balance, you'll either have the amount of depreciation already calculated, or they will give you the percentage.
Oh, so they will give us the percentage. I was
Yeah,
just
but
worried
in most
what if
instances, you will get the percentage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tumi, you can go ahead.
Tumi.
While Tumi still trying to unmute. F Brown, you can pose. You can go ahead. Ernest Nkosi, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Lara. Good evening. Just it's a clarity-seeking question in terms of 2.9.
Yes.
I think I'm a bit lost with regards to the 6 months, because as per 2.8, the equipment was in July. Isn't it supposed to be 7 months?
Oh, but if you use the number line, you will see that from 1 July up until the end of from 1 July up until December, it's 6 months. So just make sure that you use the number line. You will see that from here to here, it's 6 months. Just be careful, because like you may lose a lot of marks by not counting them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6 months. Are you covered?
Are you certain,
Oh,
Mr.
yes.
Chip?
Yeah, no, thank
Okay.
you. I was counting from the beginning, so yeah, that is a problem. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you. F Brown.
Hi, good evening. I think it's a bit delayed my time. I'm sorry, this question has now been asked, but
Okay.
what I don't understand is that I have now calculated, as you said, the calculations, there's a 9,000, then you subtract the 2,000, you subtract the 1,710, and you multiply by 10%. And
yes.
I'm in that as I'm seeing this. Then you get to minus 10.100, then you have to, because where does the other 2,000 come from? Because you have already subtracted the 2,000 that falls within June of the year. Then there's another 2,000. You add the other 2,000, right? And then you multiply by 10%. And you divided 6 over 12. the annum. And I saw
Only
this-
that 2000. So you think you're not getting the 629?
No, and I'm redoing it now with my 9,000. I don't understand why they are twice. You subtract the 2,000 that falls within June, and then you add again the 2,000 at the end after the 10%. Why both times?
Oh, what you can do is this one. It's a separate calculation. This one, it's, for example, you can put it this way. This should give you let's see. This should give you more or less. I hope this clarifies because the 2,000 you will, when you calculate it like this, start with the depreciation for the new equipment for 6 months. It will give you 100, right? And then this one will give you 529. Calculate it separate. So what you're doing here, you are trying to reduce the cost. This part here is just, I think there's some feedback. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but just the 9,000 minus the 2,000. This is removing this additional 2,000. Why are you removing it? Because this one must be calculated for 6 months. And then this one must be calculated for 12 months. You get the 529. So the total of this will give you the 629. I'm not sure if that makes sense. It's not the adding and the subtracting. So don't take it like that. Start with the calculating the depreciation for the new equipment that was purchased on 1 July. This equipment is calculated at 10% for 6 over 12. It gives you the 100. However, the other equipment that's calculated for 12 months, the 2,000 is already included within the 9,000, so it must be subtracted. Then you subtract the accumulated depreciation. Then you multiply by 10%. Just make sure that you follow the steps.
Okay.
Yeah, just practice it. It takes time to get used. There's a lot of calculations, I think, but if you practice and practice, you will get it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Pumzile. You can come in.
Hello, sorry. Okay, so first of all, I just want to know why the 2.8. Okay, it looks like a separate transaction, like you said, 2.8 and then 2.9. So if you did not make the revision for us and a solution, I think I was gonna think that 2.8 is a different transaction that needs to be calculated, and then 2.9, it's also separate from 2.8. So maybe when you are on a test, and then maybe that's a mistake that you can do for someone maybe that was not in class, because you would think they are two separate. You need to calculate the depreciation only and then the equipment only. And then also I just want to know that when you go to your number line, okay, I see that you are calculating for 12 months and 6 months, and I saw that, okay, it was from July for 6 months. And then how did you know that it's for 6 months? Because they only said from 1st July 20.1.
Okay.
Okay. Do you wanna come in, Claire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, Pumzile said there is a year end. So as I indicated, you need to have at least your timelines to show what is the beginning of the year and what is the end of the year. For this instance, this equipment was bought 1st July, which is in the middle of the current financial year, because their financial year start from 1st Jan until 31st December. So
Okay.
meaning that for the first 6 months, they didn't have that equipment. They only bought it from 1st of July. Hence, we calculate from 1st of July until our year end, which is December. So when you calculate from July until 1st of July, be careful, 1st of July, not the end of July, meaning that we start with July, August, September, October, November, December, and that gives us our
Okay.
6 months.
Makes sense.
You
Makes
get
sense.
it?
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
so
Yes.
please always look at when you start with the question, when you start written with the trial balance on your scrap paper, do the timeline to say this is the first, you start with 1st Jan,
the
or you start,
31st.
what is the beginning of the financial year, what is the end of the financial year.
Oh, okay.
Have it there,
Okay.
then it won't confuse you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Komoto.
Oh, hi, ma'am. I have a question on, like, I just have a general question. Does R1 value apply? I don't know if you guys know the R1 value thing from high school.
R1 value. Correct, please comment.
Like, to the point where we can't even depreciate the asset or whatever. Like, the value of that asset just is contained at R1. Does that apply for this module?
Yeah,
or
that is. Remember, that is not applicable for this module. Remember, here we give you the first day module. So we will give you the periods and we'll give you the amounts and we will guide you. So you don't need to worry about that. Remember, that is when it gets, when usually it's assets which are less than 7,000 that you write them off to R1. However, in this, we usually don't ask such questions, but if we do, in the assessment, we will also guide you in that, but we don't, it's not covered here on our module.
Okay,
Thank you.
so not this module. And then my second question
Yes.
is with 2.9, the accumulated depreciation for this year, will that be added onto the trial balance for next year?
This one will be added to this amount, to this. You see, this is the balance at the beginning of the year, the 11,200, right? So at the end of the year, you will have remember, this is the general channel, but at the end of the year, the closing balance will be 11,700, right? 11,700 plus this one for equipment, right? And this one will be 17,110, will be 1,710 plus this one. So this will be the balances at 20.1 December. This is for equipment and this is for accumulated depreciation. This is on 31. Yeah, 31 December. So the balances will, this will be the opening balance and this will be the closing balance.
So these amounts would carry them into the new financial period, right?
Yeah, this one.
Okay, those would be the ones that appear on our trial balance for the next financial period, right?
Exactly.
And then
yes,
the process begins again where we calculate and minus, do carrying value and whatnot.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So, and wait, one last question. So, I just have questions, right? So, with diminishing value, I know like diminishing value is the same as book value or carrying. Like, I just forgot. I just need some clarification on that. Like they usually, I know in accounting they usually use different terms, but it's more or less
it's the same amount. Yes, it's carrying amount, book value, and yeah, it's just that we are not using the cost to determine the depreciation for this.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Can we get Precious?
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, we can hear you. Hi, Precious.
Can you please re-explain 2.11 for me?
Okay. So 2.11, right? We have credit at the beginning of at the end of the year, right? You have this allowances for credit losses, right? So the allowance for credit losses, it's given on 31 December 2021 as 300, right? So this allowance, it's a credit balance. What is it allowance for? It's allowance for these receivables. You're saying of all the 5,200 receivables, you 300 will not be received, might not be, right? So, but now you have to make an adjustment. Maybe a calculation was made or new information was obtained, right? That it was determined that on 31 December, the allowance for credit losses should amount to 250, right? So what 2.11 is saying is that this 300, right, should be 250, right? So how are you going to reduce it? You are going to reduce it by debiting the balance, because this is it's a credit balance, all right? You're going to debit it to reduce it by 50, and then this amount will go to expenses. Because initially, when you recognized it, the amount, remember the example that I gave here, when you initially recognize allowances for credit losses, you would create an expense, right? So now, because now you want to reduce the amount, it will be an income. So you want to reduce it from 300 to 250. So the 50 will be the income. That's why it goes to the credit side. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? I see.
Also, Canisio, you can go. Then Mkiza Zandile, Pumeza, then we will continue with the class. Canisio? Okay. Mkize? Zandile?
No.
Okay, thank you. You can go.
Hi. Okay, I just
Yeah.
looking at 2.9, it's not really a question. Okay, actually it is a question. Because we said initially we've got 9,000, right? And then
yes,
since 2.8 says equipment of 2,000 was then bought in July. So what we should do, we should subtract that 2,000 from that initial 9,000 that we had, right?
Yes.
So I think there was a fellow student who asked that, okay, she gets that part, but the second part of the calculation, which I understand, is that where are we now getting the other 2,000 that we are adding from the 7,000 minus 1,710 times 10%? Where are we getting the second 2,000?
Oh,
the second 2,000 is under 2.8.
Okay, so which one did we use to minus from 9,000 then?
It's the one from 2.8. Remember? Yes, remember they gave us from the trial balance. Mr. Alfred, you can show the trial balance with this and with the date. So on the trial balance, they have given us the 9,000.
Yes.
At the end of the year. And remember, this equipment was bought 1st of July, so meaning that it has been included in this amount at the end of the year. Yes, hence we remove it because we need to calculate the depreciation for 6 months for that 2,000, that equipment, because it was not in our position for the whole current financial year.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why we had to separate during the calculation for the depreciation, the old equipment and the new equipment. We are separating the two so that we can have a clear view of how much depreciation in total it was.
Yeah. All right.
Are you
Thank
fine,
you.
Mr.
Thank you.
Mkhize?
Yes. Yes. I'm good. Thanks.
Thank you.
If you want to see it in
Kanisio?
oh, okay. No, you can continue.
Okay, Zandile.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for the opportunity. So to be honest, you know, there's a couple of things that confuse me. To a point where I can't even tell that we've moved to the next question. But in particular, at this point, I just wanted to ask, okay, I think the screen's moved. The calculation that we're all talking about, which is the 9,000 and then the 2,000, then I understand that the 2,000, it's the same 2,000, it gets subtracted and then it gets added back later in the equation. But now my question is based on the 12. So you're saying 6 divided by 12. So the 6 is based on the fact that you've had the equipment for 6 months of the financial year that we are calculating. And the 12 is based on, because you guys said it's 10 months because it's not from Jan to December, right? There's 2 months that is outside of this financial year end. So we're looking at 10. So why are we dividing by 12?
So if you look here, the equipment was purchased on July, right?
Yeah. What
and
is that
then
12 based on?
what you're doing, remember the percentage, right? The percentage is for the year. It says 10% per annum.
Yeah.
10% per 12 months. So that's why for each month, it will be 10 divided by 12. So this percent is for the whole year. So that's why we're saying 2,000 times 10%. If we were saying 2,000 times 10%, 10%, right? This would be for the whole year, all right?
Okay.
But how many months are we looking for? We're looking for 6 months. But how can we get 6 months? It's if we divide by 12, then we know this is for 1 month, right? But for 6 months, we multiply this by 6. That's why
So when
we
we
get
were
the
talking about, what was the 10 months that we spoke about earlier based on?
No, that's something else. The 10 months was it was insurance. It was specifically given that
Okay.
the insurance, it's for
Okay.
the period for insurance, it's quite different.
Yeah, this is what I saw earlier. So I thought that the entire question is based on something that happened in this period. But I guess now you're saying that each question is
It
a
depends.
standalone and has different
Yeah.
data that you need to work on.
Yes. Remember this insurance, look, the contract was entered into on 1 November. However, the equipment was purchased on 1 July. So,
And I think I quite understood that one, which is why I'm getting confused. But now that you're saying that the data is completely separate from that information.
It's separate.
Okay, I get you. So in particular, just to close off, so in particular, for this type of question, we will always take the number of months that we've had the equipment and it will always be divided by 12.
Yes, it depends.
Yes,
on
but
what you do.
yeah.
Yes.
So remember, every financial year it has 12 months. However, you need to check in terms of the question to say when, for instance, for this equipment, when was it bought during the financial year? Was it bought at the beginning, in 3 months through to the financial year, or in 6 months? For instance, this was only bought in the middle of the current financial year.
So as an
hence you need to
example,
be
this could have
careful.
easily been, so if it was September and the financial year
Yes.
ends in December, then you would have used 3.
Mm.
That's what I wanted to
Yes.
find out. Okay. And the
Yes.
percentage
Yes.
will be in the question.
Yes, the
the
10%
dates.
it will be given, given. Remember, every company has a different policy, so you really need to read. Don't
Yeah,
assume
no,
that
I'm
it's
happy
always
with the
10%.
information that I'm expecting to be in the question. I think my biggest thing is understanding the actual equation, how it works. And if the numbers are going to be in the question, I'm happy with that because I understand that it needs to be something that I read and that's the data that I'm working on. But in terms of the formula is where I was getting a little bit loose. That's why I was thinking that data with the 10-month period, it still applies here. But now I understand that it's not the same thing. And this is based on a 12-month period because the financial year end is 12 months. But if something different happens, it will still be part of the question. Then
Yes,
I won't
thank
be
you.
lost. Okay. Okay, happy.
No, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. TK and unknown user, then we will continue. We are over time. Unknown user?
So,
Yes, we can hear you.
I just wanted to ask about allowance for credit losses because
Yes.
you said that it was it's like what the credit losses we expect for the financial period, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So why do we credit? Why is it on the trial balance? Is on the credit side? Is it a liability or how would you classify it?
Yes, it's similar to a liability because what happens? Look at in the beginning, right? You're saying you're selling goods on credit, right? So you are doing something brave by recognizing an asset if you haven't received the money yet, all right? So, but just to have some sort of hedging effect or just to reduce the risk, you have some sort of an allowance to say out of this amount, right? I might not receive this. So that's why it's similar to a liability because you're saying I will receive 2,000. However, of the 2,000, 200 might not be received. That's why it's some sort of a liability. It's just to ensure, it's like some sort of insurance to cover what you say you might receive. Does
Okay.
that make sense? That's why it's a liability.
So if we ask this in an assessment, a question like this, will they give us like a percentage like you gave here, for example, you said it's maybe 10% of our data. So is that how we would calculate it?
Yes, there will be guidance in terms of how to determine it. But just be careful because on some questions it might be 10% of the closing balance or of debtors, or it might be 10% of sales and things like that. It will depend. Just be careful, but there will be guidance.
Oh, okay, there will guidance. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
All right. Next question. Unknown user. Are we done? I think, Clara.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I think we can, unknown users not speaking, so I think you can continue.
I think I was done with the
Oh, so we are done.
with the question. Yes.
Yeah, do we have any other questions that you guys want to ask before we call it a day? Please know that there will be another class on Thursday for anything that you need to ask in terms of preparing for assessment 2. Assessment 2 will take almost the same format with assessment 1, meaning that it will be a quiz. You will have embedded, you'll need to have your calculator on the side or paper to do your calculations and insert those amounts in the assessment, in the quiz itself. And it will also be timed. We still will send an announcement in terms of how long it will take you to complete, how many hours we're going to give you or minutes we're going to give you to complete the assessment 2. It will be open to next week on the 2nd of April and closing on the 9th of April. Kindly prepare, study. Don't try to wait for 9th of April for any issues to disturb you. We know we have issues of load shedding, we've got disturbances, we get sick or anything. Kindly try as soon as you are ready, complete the assessment, and there will be no extension. We did make exception for assessment 1 for those whose registration was finalized last week, very, very late. However, for assessment 2, no exceptions, no extensions, no excuses. Kindly please start, prepare, and complete it on time. You don't have to complete it on the 2nd of April at the same time. Kindly make time, prepare, revise. Watch all the videos that we have been sharing with you on our YouTube channel, also under announcements, so that you can revise. And then if you have any related questions in terms of study unit 1 to 10, remember, assessment 2 includes study unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Therefore, if you know you didn't do that very well in assessment 1, kindly go back and revise those sections that you struggled with. And if you are still struggling, post the question onto your group site, e-tutor site, so that they can respond to you within 48 hours. If not, kindly email us your query with a screenshot showing that you have indeed reached out to your e-tutor. As I always say, we have over 16,000, almost 17,000 students. Therefore, if we get emails from everyone, we might not be able to get to everyone before the due date of the assessment. So please make use of the e-tutors so that they can assist you. Make sure that when you send your query to us that was not answered, make it clear on the subject. Says I've posted these questions in the e-tutor site, group number 9E or 11E, and I did not get answered, so that we can forward that email to the coordinator. But at the same time, we'll be responding to your query so that we make sure that we hold them accountable for their services, because UNISA is paying them to assist you. You don't need to pay for anyone to help you with this module. We have this e-tutors. If you are struggling, you need 101, post it there and ask them for their availability. Know that during the day, most of them, they are working. So sometimes they might be able to assist you, maybe give you an hour or half an hour during the weekend or after hours to be with you on Teams to assist you with what you're struggling with. Because remember, these e-tutors are independent contractors. They've got their full-time jobs. So we will meet again. If you have any questions in terms of study unit 1 to 10, kindly prepare those questions, post them there or come with them in the class on Thursday so that you can be able to get assistance on Thursday as well. Any questions you can post on the chat. I will try to load this recording in this chat while we wait for our ICT tomorrow to post it in our YouTube channel. I will share it here on this chat and all the chats that you can get access to it in case you want to continue studying tomorrow morning or in the midnight. But bear with us if I'm delaying. It might be issues of the network. You know, we have network issues, load shedding issues, all the issues in our country. So bear with us if we are delaying. The recording for yesterday's class We're still waiting for our ICT to load it on the YouTube. So it should be there by tomorrow. But however, I have shared the link in this chat as well for the recordings of this class. Make sure that you log in using your UNISA logins when you want to access the recordings, because otherwise it might limit you if you are using your private usernames for Teams. So I see questions. We have Zandile, is that an old hand?
No,
If
it
it
was a
is,
new
can
hand. It was a new hand, but
Yes.
because you said we must type, I started typing. So yesterday we were told that because the assessment one has been extended due to the people that registered late. So now it's a little bit of a tricky situation where we can't see feedback in order for us to prioritize where we didn't do so well. So that is still my biggest pain. It's difficult for me to even, focus on what we're doing now, because I'm thinking those are the basics from assessment one, module 1 to 5. And I did send an email. So I was just wondering, if I approach my e-tutor, will they have access to see where I went wrong so that we can look at that information before I can start drilling down on 6 to 10?
They won't have access. As my colleague has indicated, we can only assist actually with the actual assessment after the 2nd of April. We will try to see what we can review, because for now, remember the questions, if you get the questions, we have issues of contract cheating, people selling our answers everywhere. So if we give you your question and where you went wrong, someone might sell it to their friends who are still has to complete the
But I
assessment, and
think
they
the
will
biggest
get
issue is that.
advantage.
So is it not possible then for
Plagiarism.
you guys to just allow these people to finish writing and then do the second assessment to be in it, because it's going to be so tight. I mean, if you open the feedback, it's only going to give us 5 days to review, and we still need to prepare. I don't know, but for me, I think it's daunting.
Unfortunately, it's not in our control as lecturers. However, we will take your suggestion and your query to our management and see what they can do. But we're not promising anything for now. Just keep preparing and go back to the recordings of study unit 1 to 5. And if you have questions regarding that, kindly post it to your tutor to say, you know what, I thought I understood study unit 1 to 5, but however, I didn't do well. You can tell them your mark. Can you kindly assist me maybe with study unit 4 or 5? To go back to those CRJ, CPJ, or any of those study units.
Okay, I'll try that for now. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Komoto?
Hi, ma'am. I just wanted to ask, is there any way that we can access past papers for the assignments, or just for practice? Or do you guys set using them Messenger? Are we able to access them?
Yes. So, sorry, let me mute. This person is okay. Komoto, remember
Yes,
what we have given you, especially the revision exercises. I think they will well prepare you for the assessment. So, and those questions, some of them are coming from the past papers that we had, that we included them as for you to revise. So don't stress yourself looking for past papers. Make use of the exercises, the examples that we have given you, and the revision ones. Those ones should be able to prepare you enough for the assessment. Because remember, we will not ask you something you haven't seen. We will just maybe change the English in it and just make a new scenario as compared to what we had. But the basics are the same for accounting. There's no surprises. So if you get your basics right, you should be able to get your distinction.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. F. Chokwe?
Hello.
Yes.
So you said questions on what do you call unit 1 to 5, the previous one, we can ask from the tutor. Actually, I'm the one who asked about the T account. So my problem is that the tutor, can we have our like the names, because I try to send the message there, no answer, no whatever, so that I can try and call him or her on Teams.
Okay, so kindly send an email with a screenshot with your group number so that we can follow up to ask the tutor why they are not doing. But however, we will make sure that we give you help, assistance that you need.
And the second question, I had to said the first assignment was extended for those students who registered late. So for those students who are unable to access, maybe due to the fact that they didn't understand my units and everything, they cannot write.
Unfortunately, we were only given approval for those ones. They've opened for them. There was a list that they did from the registration side, so we didn't have much control over that one. Unfortunately, we can't extend for everyone. And what I will advise you, no matter what the mark you got, I don't know if you have done a mean self-assessment in terms of calculating your final mark. Your final mark consists of the 4 assessments, meaning that even if you didn't do well on assessment 1, you can still pass the module. Look at the percentage. Assessment 1, I think it was 15%. The other one is 25, 15 and 35. Check those ones. I don't have them by head, but check already where you are working towards. And remember, assessment 1 doesn't have an elective, but assessment 2, 3, or have an elective, meaning that if you don't get it right, let's say for assessment 2 by the 9th of April, you only have one chance, one attempt, meaning that you cannot re-attempt the same assessment like we did with assessment 1. For assessment 2, you only have one chance to sit and complete it. If you don't pass it, we give you new questions which will be opened later in May for only 24 hours for you to complete the assessment. Do you understand? So you can still get a good mark for this module,
I will
regardless of
just
how
try,
you
because
performed.
now it was not about the performance. I could not access. I guess I wrote an email on that night. I could not access the assessment, so I don't even know what it contains. So I'm gonna start with the assessment 2. That's why I was asking if it was open for the new ones or for those who could not access the assessment itself.
Yeah, no, I think the registrations were the ones that had to make this changes, because they only used the list of, in terms of the dates of the registrations when it was finalized, unfortunately, because we had a lot of students who also on the same situation as you, who, struggled to figure out my UNISA and all that. And they were really impacted badly. And there's nothing we could have done. We did raise this with the management without any success so far. So if anything changes, we will let you know. But however, for now, we were not given an approval.
Okay, I just hope it changed, because that 5% can make a difference. But thank you.
Thank you. I don't stress. You're still gonna make it. We are here to assist you. So make sure that you go back to recording for study unit 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and also this one, so that you can be well prepared for assessment 2. Please note that the elective for assessment 2 will be completely new questions. So don't expect the same questions for the elective.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, in the absence of any questions, okay, we've got someone quickly. We are over time. Ntombi, can you make it quickly so that we can wrap up for the night? Ntombi?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Yes, it's just just a short question. Just I want to ask about the record. You say it when you're gonna get it. Because even for yesterday, I've tried to check on the YouTube, I didn't get it. And then even for today, when you're gonna get it. Just to prepare for
Okay, for
assignment 2.
yesterday's. Yeah, for yesterday, I have already shared the link in the chat. So if you can go scroll up the chats, you'll be able to see the recordings for yesterday. As I've indicated, it should be in by tomorrow. Our ICT guys will be in tomorrow to add it to our YouTube channel. However, I have already shared with you from yesterday. So I've posted it yesterday already on the chat for yesterday class, for study unit 5, for all the classes I've been putting it out there.
Okay.
And then also on the FAC class. Yes, so for tonight, we still have to download it after the class. And also we will share the link on this chat, and also we'll share it with our ICT to add it onto our YouTube page tomorrow.
Okay, thank you
So,
very much. Thank you.
Can you
Appreciate for your work.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Katnisio, we are late. Do you have a quick one? Or you can send an email. Okay, it's done. Thank you, everyone. I don't know if my colleagues have anything to share with you. As I've indicated, we have a class on Thursday to discuss. This is like a revision. Just check your announcement in terms of what is going to be discussed, and kindly prepare in advance before you go to the class so that you can get the benefit of the class. My colleagues, Hukone and Alfred, is there anything that I missed out? You think it is important? Okay.
From my
In the
side,
absence of any okay, thank you.
from my side, there's nothing, but students must read the announcement because they are asking questions that are already addressed via the announcement we posted to them. They must just read the announcement, because now
Read
they're
them
asking
daily
questions that are already addressed via the announcement.
Yes, please. And then we don't mean to be rude. If you send us an email on something that we already posted about, we will not answer you. We'll refer you back to announcements. Remember, we are accounting professionals, so therefore we need to be accountable for our studies and make sure that we do our part as students so that we can be able to succeed in this module. So thank you very much and have a great evening. Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good evening. Bye.